Hey lovelies, welcome to another reading vlog. Today is Saturday. Saturday afternoon, I should say. I meant to start vlogging yesterday, but I basically worked all day and all night working on some graphics and having major technical issues throughout the whole process. And then my computer decided to crash, and I thought everything was auto-saving, but it wasn't. So I did probably like 4 hours of work that was just time wasted because all of that work was lost. So suffice to say, I was not in a good mood. I was really annoyed and frustrated, and I mean, it was like 1 a.m. when I stopped. So yeah, I didn't want to start the vlog on that sort of footing. I didn't want to put all of that negative energy out into the world, so I decided to start today. But I'm not feeling good emotionally and physically. I'm having some bladder problems, and I have allergies, and yeah, still sort of emotionally reeling from all of that yesterday. I might work on my graphics again today. I have to be in a good mood to do it and feel motivated to do it because it was very stressful, and I feel like if I start working on it right now where I am, I will just get more frustrated. So I am going to read instead. Hopefully that'll put me in a better mood. Maybe I might do some yoga or Pilates later and cycle to get those endorphins going. But yeah, so I'm gonna read here shortly. I'm reading 2 books, one on my Kindle and one a physical copy. So first book I'm reading is Kristen Hanna's The Great Alone, and I'm not far into it. I don't think I've reached 50 pages yet, but I'm really enjoying it still. It's a family drama. It's about this family, the father who is a Vietnam War veteran and suffers from PTSD in a time period, which is the 70s and 80s, when PTSD really wasn't understood or diagnosed. So with that already, you have a lot of things that are going to be stirred up because of that trauma. And he's also kind of just been trying to find himself in any way possible, moving around, filling with different career paths, and one of his old friends leaves his property in Alaska to him, and so he thinks that moving to Alaska with the family is the best move to get their lives on track, although the mother and the daughter are kind of used to this let's pack up everything, move, and change our whole lives around, and the hopes that this time will work. And the mother stands by his side through everything, and the daughter is also just, you know, wanting her life to make sense, and having to deal with parents who aren't put together as much as other parents might be. So yeah, I'm really interested in it. I feel like it's gonna get heavier. So I am also reading something a little bit lighter and more fun on the side, which is The Lies of Loch Lamora by Scott Lynch, I believe, which is a fantasy novel that I have heard amazing things about. Everyone recommends it. It has amazing reviews. So I'm really excited to read that on the side when I need something a little bit more fun and lighter. Hey lovelies, so I haven't read that much today. I started reading The Great Alone a little bit more, and then I just couldn't keep my eyes open, so I took a nice nap. I'm feeling a lot better now. I have a lot more energy than I did before. Lex went to go pick us up some food. I am currently working again on my graphics that I want to get done and put into my birthday book haul video. So I'm trying to get that done because it staying on a timeline and staying on a schedule is good. Sometimes with chronic illness you can't do it, and that's okay. But yeah, so I'm trying to get that done. I've made me some iced coffee, um, and it's okay. I don't really like adding in like sweetener afterwards because I don't like the granulated texture. So I like to put the sugar in while it's hot and mix it. But I got this thing called the hyper chiller. I just found it online, and basically you fill it up with like water and then you put it in the freezer. And then when you make coffee, you can pour, or even hot tea, you can pour hot beverages into it and then you stir it around for a minute and then it's cold. And yeah, I mean, it did work. I added some ice, which is probably not the wisest thing to do because it really waters it down and it was already kind of diluted enough for me. But yeah, so I did want to talk about The Great Alone a little bit. I obviously haven't read that many pages yet. I think I've read about 50 now. But I am really enjoying it, and I can see already sort of what's going to become part of this book, which is internal struggles, struggles within the dynamics and the relationships, as well as struggles that come with being so isolated from everyone in Alaska, in remote Alaska. And I think that element right there is what adds just so much conflict to the whole situation. If you were living in a neighborhood with friendly neighbors, or you were near your family, or anything like that, having already dealing with all of this trauma and violence, even, it's easier for you to get help. Although people who have experienced situations like that, emotionally abusive and physically abusive, everyone knows how hard it is to get out of that. And it's I would say it would be really hard to do it on your own. And so having that added element of isolation, as well as the place they moved to, it's not great. That's all. Like, the amount of work that they're going to have to do, there's no running water, there's no electricity. The roadway to the pathway to the cabin was completely covered, so they had to hike there. It's small and dirty and moldy and, yeah, gray, and it doesn't get dark right away. So yeah, I'm loving it so far because there's so much just within 50 pages of creating conflict and creating characters that are unique from each other, while also trying to establish a family bond and what that means, what that looks like. So yeah, I am really enjoying it. I'm going to probably take a bath later and start the lives of... Hi friends. So today is Sunday. I did exactly what I did on Friday yesterday and spent 7 hours working on my graphics. Probably wasted a good solid 5 hours just trying to do something I cannot accomplish. But it's done. I'm very proud of it. I'm excited to put it all together. But today I am doing what I set out to do yesterday, which is switch between napping, reading, watching TV, and eating. Those are the 4 activities I will be doing today and nothing else. So yeah, I'm hoping that I will be able to get through more of The Great Alone. I also really want to start La Clamora, because I'm really excited about that, and I just need to get out of this reading rut. I've been in it for a little bit now. I haven't really been able to really get into anything. So yeah, I'm hoping that these books will, and maybe if I actually spend a good solid couple hours reading and only reading, then I'll get out of this slump as well. Only reading for a couple minutes every day wasn't working out for me. But yeah, those are my plans. Feeling very nauseous this morning. I took a nausea pill, but it's not working. I have to ask my doctor for some other type of medication because this one isn't working. But yeah, I'm in my most comfortable, softest clothing, which from Lou and Grey, one of my favorite stores ever. And just being really cozy. I'm gonna have to set up our breakfast thing here. Oh yeah, that was just hard. I'm going to talk a bit more about The Great Alone because I'm loving it so much, and I know I already talked about it a little bit, but I wanted to talk in more detail about how I think Kristen Hanna's choice in the location it just is, it's like a character of itself, and it so deeply impacts these people's lives and the conflict that will arise ultimately from the weather and the location. And so I think it's very interesting that I don't think that this story would have as much weight as it does, at least for me, without it being in this setting. And right now I'm sort of like in a quarter of the way through. Lenny goes to school in this sort of one room school with people of different ages, like children of all different ages, and the only person that's relatively close to her age is this boy, and they become pretty good friends, except for the fact that they can only see each other at school because when they're not in school they're working from sunup to sundown, which, you know, showcases a little bit about how fast that Lenny has to grow up, not just dealing with the work that she has to do, but also what she has seen her parents go through and how they talk to each other. And yeah, so that's very interesting. Her father is becoming closer to this man who's also, you know, drinks a lot, which isn't good for him, is very paranoid, and they're just kind of worried about where that relationship is taking her father. And now that winter is coming, it's going to be dark all the time. People get depressed in any sort of situation in the winter, lack of vitamin D. So the fact that he actually is dealing with this trauma, I think everyone, especially Lenny, is pretty scared about what is going to happen, how he's going to react to things. And there's this common bond, this thread that Lenny and her mother share of being worried. They can look at each other and know exactly what the other one is thinking. But at the same time, as much as I think that Lenny's mother is protective of her, she also kind of fuels the fire for her father, flirting with other people, making him mad, and Lenny sees that and knows that. So yeah, it's a lot. It's heavy, but I'm really into it, and yeah, I'm gonna read more tonight. Right now, Lex is gonna eat dinner, so yeah.
Shit. Let's go, Miles. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. What the fuck is this? I'm your father. Your mommy just didn't tell you. Let's go, Miles. Let's go, Miles.
Happy Monday, friends. I have just got done doing my nails. I used to, like from college into my childhood years, I always had nail polish on. Like, I never went without it. But in the past couple of years, just going through my phase of becoming more eco-friendly and more healthy, I found out a lot about nail polish, the use of formaldehyde, and just the way they're produced, and really had no interest in painting my nails anymore. But I recently found well, I have been using this stuff, C&D Rescue. I don't know I don't think it's cruelty-free, which is upsetting, but I got it because my nails were so brittle from medication I was on, and they kept breaking like really short, and I never really had my nails short ever in my life. So I'm very, very sensitive with the fingertips, and so I Googled, and this is what I found. But yeah, so I'm not gonna feel bad about myself right now, but I found some eco-friendly, cruelty-free nail polish that I got for my birthday just because I wanted to snazz it up since there's really not anything for me to have done for my birthday. So I thought, you know, painting my nails for the first time in years would be fun. But then I didn't end up doing it, but I did it today. They're okay. You're not the best, but they're gonna chip probably anyway in a day or two. But anyways, I wanted to confess something. Last night, before I ultimately fell asleep, I continued reading The Lies of Locke Lamora, and I had to put it on pause because I just could not get into the book. I reached 50 pages, which is usually my mark to decide if I'm going to continue on or not. And I know the book now is really long, so I probably should have given it more time. But I kept looking at the Goodreads reviews, seeing so many people absolutely love it. And then going back to it and trying harder to get into it, and I just couldn't. I just could not get into it. And I think it's because there's a lack of plot and the characters weren't really pulling at me. So they weren't pulling me enough basically to get over the fact that nothing had happened in 50 pages. And I didn't really get a sense of any of the characters and who they really were and what their goals and motivations were either. I'm not done with it. I'm not going to completely, throw it out of the window and never attempt to read it again. I just feel like I was looking for something very specific, which was a contrast to The Great Alone, something very fast-paced and fun. And I had no idea the book was as long as it is. It's like 700 pages. So I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna force myself to try to read something, not be into it because of where I am emotionally. Hopefully that's just the reason. And then hate a book that I could potentially love because so many people do. So I put that on pause, and now I'm going to be reading, I already forgot. I checked it out. Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. So I just checked it out a couple hours ago. I was looking for something because I want to read a fantasy, but I want to read a fun-paced fantasy. So I checked out Wandfasted, which is the first book in a series called The Black Witch Chronicles. Let's see. So this is what it looks like. I checked it out from the library for an ebook. I actually don't know what the book is about. I know it's a prequel to the series. Usually prequels come out after the first book is released, at least after the first book. And usually that's how I read them. So I'll read 1, 2, and then they come out with a prequel, and then I'll go read 0.5. But because the series is already out, I was like, why not just start with the prequel? So I know it has to do with magic, because it's got witches. And yeah, I'm not really sure what it is about, but it has pretty good reviews, and I'm hoping that it's got a mix of magic, romance, and adventure. So I'm hoping that it'll be a little bit lighter, faster, and just, fun goodiness that I need right now to offset The Great Alone, which is pretty rough. So yeah, that's that. I'm feeling pretty good today. I made myself some coffee. I'm probably gonna have a lot of coffee just because I love the taste. I might switch to decaf in a minute because I can't drink too much caffeine every day because my body doesn't approve of it. I need to order groceries, but I want to make my meal plan for the week first. I'm about to work on some stuff and study. Oh, it's just a lot I need to do. Lux has been pretty down, I think, these past couple of days, which has brought me down because it's just what happens, you know. So I'm hoping we can get out of it. It's just hard. It's hard when, you know, people around you are in a bad place and you're trying not to be, but the negativity is there. And so yeah, I'm trying to keep my head above water. I'm gonna work today, get a lot of things done, and then read later. So I'm annotating my first page because this line that I just read is nuts. Let's see if I can find it. Where did it go? Oh yeah, right here. A thing can be true and not the truth. Now shush. Don't even know what it means, but yeah, seems like the right thing for her to say. Boy. Okay friends, so I wanted to wrap up this reading vlog and talk about the two books I finished. One is The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna, and the other is Wandfasted by Lori Forrest. I'm going to talk about Wandfasted first. This is a prequel in a series called The Black Witch Chronicles. I never heard of The Black Witch Chronicles before. I never heard of Lori Forrest before. This was just all brand new. I found the book by chance. It sounded fun. It sounded like, you know, a fantasy magical romance. A lot of people spoke to it as a novella, which I think is right. It's a very short book. And yeah, so usually prequels are written after the first or even second or third book of a series has already been released. And I'm sure this was the case for this book as well, but because I have never read the series, but they're all out, I was like, might as well start from the very, very beginning, right? And I think that might have been a mistake, simply because I feel like the book was written with the pretense that you have read at least the first book before. Some of the rules of the world and the magic were very quick and didn't really make sense, a lot of it. So I think I might have enjoyed it a little bit more if maybe I had read the first book first, but I still really enjoyed it. It is definitely a fast read, and I would say it's very light on the fantasy magical element that is very low on the totem pole in terms of the plot. It's mostly a romance book. And there were some things that really bothered me. One was just the fact that I wish there was more of the plot was story driven and more time spent on what was actually going on, you know, because there was this sort of war that erupted between classes, and there were dragons, and it opened just with a bang. Like immediately it was in the thick of this action, which I really enjoyed, and then after that it kind of calmed down and just turned into a romance. And yeah, that was pretty disappointing. I think that the relationship was fun and it was easy to read, but a lot of time was spent on this relationship, and a lot of time was spent with her sort of just overhearing conversations that were happening in her tent when she got injured. And so it just didn't feel like it was a complete story. It felt very small and short, and I don't know, like honestly I feel like it could be a chapter in a regular book, honestly, about maybe a couple chapters, but yeah, it just felt short for me in the long run. And there were things that were happening in the beginning of the book that seemed really important. Her relationship with a human, they're called Celtics, I believe, in the book, and how that is sort of deemed as completely unacceptable in both races. And so her relationship with this boy, this guy, was her best friend, and then he just kind of disappears. And she has a very strong connection to her grandfather and her little brother, but you don't really get to see that much throughout the rest of the book. And yeah, I just felt like there was a lot set up, and then it's just like forgotten about, and the book focuses solely on this romantic relationship, and there isn't a lot of conflict either when it comes to it. So yeah, it was fun to kind of just get out of my slump, read something very fast and sweet and easy, but I was definitely underwhelmed, to say the least. So I am, however, it wasn't too underwhelming to keep me interested in this series. So I'm definitely going to read the next book in the series, which is called The Black Witch. This is a character that was introduced in the book that I read as sort of this bigger than life character who comes in to save the day on a dragon. She is the mother of our protagonist's love interest. She plays a little role in that as well, in terms of indoctrinating the rules on them, and making sure that her son is doing the right thing and being with the right person. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say about it. I was a bit disappointed in the story itself. Like I said, it goes from this adventure, this war, this really fast paced, to very slow. The other book that I was able to finish was The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna, and I really enjoyed this book, although it was pretty dramatic throughout. I always caught myself wanting to come back to it. And I'd have to say, like, from the last half or last quarter of the book, I stayed up really late at night reading it, and I was just bawling my eyes out. And I was trying to sob quietly so I didn't wake up my husband. And so I was just a mess. I wanted to come in here and record my instant review on it because I was just in tears, but the battery was dead and I wasn't gonna mess with any of that. I loved it. I did. I love Lenny, who is our main character, and I have so many feelings. So this is a book about a family. Like I said, our main character, Lenny, who starts off at 14 years, I believe. She has a mother who is, she comes from a normal sort of well-off family, but has kind of distanced herself from her family because they do not like the man that she's married to, understandably so. And then you have her father, who is a veteran of the Vietnam War, and he is just constantly searching for himself. You know, there's always a new place with a new career path that will fix his family, fix him, and that's what happens in this book. He is given a piece of land in Alaska from an old veteran buddy, and they decide, without any sort of research or understanding of what it would be to own a piece of property in, you know, the tundra of Alaska, and pick up all their stuff and move. And to say that the place was not prepared for them either is probably an understatement. This place was not taken care of. It has no electricity. I'm not even sure if there's running water. They have an outhouse for the bathroom, and they were not prepared for what it meant to be living in Alaska on your own land in winter. And the community is sure to explain to them and help prepare them, but it wasn't enough. So basically, this is a story of family drama, to say the least, of the small family dealing with things together, dealing with things independently, as well as just trying to survive in this desolate area. And so there's a lot of terrible stuff that happens in this book, not just to our main character and her family, but to the people around her. And it's a lot. There is a lot. And if I wasn't so beaten up by life, I would maybe doubt this as a reality. But everyone, has a story. Everyone has a memory or some form of trauma, and so it's real. And there's a lot to be talked about in this book. It's no secret that domestic violence plays a role in this book, so a big trigger warning for that, as well as a trigger warning for PTSD, which brings us to our father, who this is in the 70s and 80s, and so PTSD wasn't really diagnosed, it wasn't really understood, and our father suffers it deeply, but it becomes a source of violence towards the mother. When things don't go his way, he lashes out on her, and it is a lot to take. Not only do you have that, but you have the after effects of it for Lenny, our main character, the daughter, as well as the mother of once again just letting it go, blaming it on herself, and sees it in sort of this really toxic way of how much he loves her. And coming from a place where you don't know what it's like, and when you are separated from the rest of your family, your friends, and the world around you, especially going somewhere super isolated like Alaska, it's a lot. I mean, the author really took her time and really used this location to her advantage to tell this story. Everyone usually suffers from SAD, which is seasonal depression, not getting enough sunlight, not getting enough vitamin D, and becoming depressed. Someone who's already dealing with trauma and depression on top of being in a place that's so hard to survive. I mean, every day is just about survival. Not having money, not having a strong community around you, especially a healthy one. His only source of a friendship is from a man named Matt Earl, who is very paranoid, and he's alcoholic, and so he's not the best person for our father to be around. But of course, they spend a lot of time together, and it really affects him, and then of course his family. And so to see someone going through that and then just accepting it or blaming it on themselves and internalizing it and just forgive and forgive and forgive and forget, it's hard, and you want to just grab her and say, get away. And there are so many times when our protagonist Lenny she tries so hard, but she loves her mother. She doesn't want to leave her mother alone, and so she is unfortunately also trapped in this really abusive, toxic relationship and family. So it's very heavy. There's a lot more that happens. If you read it, you know what I'm talking about. And it's enough to just want you to scream, but it's so well written. The characters are so richly developed. The location is just, the way it plays into the story is just magnificent. And I can say that the ending is a bit more of a happy one, more maybe bittersweet even. But yeah, there's a lot that goes on in this book, and I was not disappointed with it at all. I probably would never read it again. It's so heavy. But yeah, this is the first book I believe that I read by Kristen Hanna as well. And I'm a huge fan of her writing style, at least from this. So I am going to try some of her other novels. Hopefully maybe they're a little bit lighter, because yeah, this was a lot, but it was good. So those are two of the books I finished during this vlog. I'm not keeping it in timetable, just, a vlog of the books that I read. So yeah, that is both of the books I was able to finish, my thoughts and feelings on them. If you would please subscribe to my channel, I greatly appreciate it. And yeah, have a good day.